I'm continuing with my small canvases, and today I've gone even smaller, but I'm doing a diptych. I can't wait for you to see the colour palette. I'm going to take you down now so you can see the shades that I'm using. Let me give you a hint. I'm using some blues and also a gold. But as always, let's see what we can create. Okay, so here's my colour palette. You'll see that I'm using 3 different brands: Amsterdam, Arteza and Pebeo. I'm using the iridescent metallic Pebeo, and I'm also going to use that as my cell activator. So I'm going to use that gold in the main design and also as the swipe cell activator, but I'll explain more about that in a second. All my colours are going to be mixed with water and pouring medium. Here are my 2 small canvases and my palette knife. So as I say, these are all mixed with a water and pouring medium. 1 part paint, 1 part water, 3 parts pouring medium. So they're for all of those colours, and you'll see here the consistency as it drizzles off that spatula back into the cup. It will form a mound upon a mound and then disappear within 2 or 3 seconds. And that's the same for all of these colours. If you're using different brands to what I'm listing today, you might need to experiment a little bit further to get your consistency right. But this is what works for me across a lot of the paints that I use, including Amsterdam, Pebeo, Winsor & Newton, Arteza, and so on. So that's the consistency. And when I talk about a cell activator, I'm going to show you that now. So the cell activator is mixed up with paint and a paint conditioner, pouring medium. And I'm using today Australian Floetrol. So I've got 1 part paint and 4 parts Australian Floetrol mixed in this combination. And when I mix that combination up, it's that's actually the cell activator. So when I swipe with this gold, that's what's going to create cells and lacing. So I'm now going to take some time and add the paint onto the canvases. I'm going to use 2 different base colours. So I'm starting off with one that you can see here on the left. That's a Prussian blue, and I just love Prussian blue. And then I'm going to do a different colour on this side. So this is the ultramarine, and that's going to be the base colour for that side. And then the idea is to puddle the paints on top and then swipe. But let's go through that process now. I'm going to just spread out some of those base colours first, and then we'll start layering our paints on the canvas. So they're the base colours down, and I'm just using my torch to pop any air bubbles. And then what we'll do is we'll add 3 colours to each canvas and then swipe with the gold cell activator. So my colours are down, and now this is the gold cell activator. Remember, this is what I said earlier. So I've mixed this with Australian Floetrol, 4 parts Australian Floetrol, 1 part Pebio's Iridescent Gold. And I'm just literally going to swipe that gold over the top of those 3 colours that are already on my canvas. I'm just going to do 1 swipe, and then I'm going to just clean off my palette knife. I might just touch up this side here. Just spread my palette knife across that little bit of blue, just to spread that gold out even further. And then just wipe off my palette knife. And then I'm going to do the other canvas. Again, I'm just loading up the palette knife with the cell activator. And then I'm going to just place my palette knife on the canvas, on top of those 3 colours that we've already got down. So I'm just going to lightly place the palette knife on top of those puddles, and then just swipe across, allowing that palette knife just to glide over the top of those colours. I'm just using my torch just to pop any air bubbles and to encourage that reaction with the cell activator. So as you can see, let me just take you in for a close-up. You can see how that cell activator is working now with all those colours that are already on the canvas. I love the reaction that cell activator has. So now it's going to be about spreading that paint out and really opening up that design, really opening up those cells that we've created. And I'm going to pick up 1 canvas at a time and tilt the paint from side to side. All I'm going to do is watch how those cells really open up and be really mindful of how much negative space I want to keep, so that Prussian blue, compared to the other colours that we've puddled on top. And I'm in no rush to do this. Just remember, guys, you've got time. Enjoy the process. Don't worry too much about that end result. Watch how those paints react. Watch how that paint flows across that surface area. And then once you've tipped the paint down the edges, towards the corners, down the sides, bring it back on itself and use the volume of paint you've already got on your canvas just to spread out that paint that you've already puddled. Okay, I'm really happy with the composition of this one, so I'm going to place it down on my table and I'm going to take you in for a close-up of the wet version. And I will, of course, let this dry. These are currently taking a couple of days to dry, to touch, but I do leave them a good few weeks to fully cure before I add a gloss varnish over the top. I always use a spray gloss varnish by Winsor & Newton. That's my go-to varnish that I use. But if you've got different varnishes, then please feel free to experiment with them and share them in the comments below, just to help everybody else learn as we go along. I hope you've had fun today. I'm going to show you the dry version, and I'd love to let me know in the comments below which one you prefer. Is it this one, which has the darker base and a lot more gold, or is it the other canvas? So let me know in the comments below. I'm finding it pretty hard to decide, but it might be this one, or maybe the other one. Okay, I can't make a decision yet. I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll take you in for a close-up of the dry version too. One thing that I would say, I do love how I've used that gold cell activator across both of these creations. And I'd probably say this one here that I'm showing you now is my favourite. I've had so much fun as always, so we've swiped on smaller canvases and it's worked really well. I hope you've had fun too, and whatever you're up to creatively, I hope you're enjoying it, learning as you go, and allowing yourself that freedom just to paint and create. I hope to see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye.